It's wonderful how for the day after Yom Kippur we've got a Matmonim that is very easy. You can relax. It's not, even though we're in the midst of Kodshim, it's an easy and extremely beautiful piece that we'll learn together. Dealing with the relationship between a Talmid Chacham, somebody we consider highly within our own society, and a king of the non-Jewish world. And the way we present ourselves, just a fascinating piece of Gemara. We start off with a royal education, והיו מלכים אומניך, Zevachim Daf Yud with Aleph, starting off with some psukim. Firstly, a posuk in Yechezkel, where Yechezkel says, talking about how the Kohanim will be dressed in the third Beis Hamikdash, Parei pishtim yiyu al rosham u'michnasei pishtim yiyu al motneihem. They shall wear hats, they shall wear trousers. Lo yachguru beyaza. They should not tie their sash in the place of yaza. What does that mean? Says Rashi, based on a brisa, ein chogrim b'makom shemiziin. You don't put the sash, this beautiful sash that they wore over their chests, you don't put that in a part of your body where you could perspire. Lo lemala mi'atzilein, which means not higher than your elbow height. V'lo lemata mimotneim, and not lower than your waist, than your hips, shehu makom ze'ah, because those are places where we perspire. Says the Metzudas David, ki sham rav haze'ah u'mitlachlechin bigdei ha'kuhuna, because the begodim can get stained, they can get marked from the perspiration, and that's not a covered for the bigdei kahuna. So the Metzudas understands Rashi as explaining this from the perspective of the glory of the clothes, rather than the glory of the man. The Targum translates it a little different. Targum Yonasan, v'lo yizarzurun al chartzehon Elohin al levavehon yesarun. They should not tie it on over their loins, but over their hearts. So he words it a little different. It's also interesting that the word for tie, the Hebrew word for tie he uses, are two different words. He uses, in the first case, Yizarzurun, and the second Yeyasrun. Yizarzurun almost implies in a hurry. Don't be in a rush and just tie it across your loins and think that you're done. Put it in the right place, which is across your heart. The Rambam is quite amazing here. The Rambam says, V'al ha'avnet mefurash b'kabbalah v'lo yachgeru b'yaza b'makom shemeziyim. The Rambam says in Klei Hamikdash Perek Yud Halach Beis that this avnet, this sash, should not be what we've learned in Kabbalah. It's been handed down that it shouldn't be tied in a place of perspiration. So that's fine. We've learned that. And that's how Yonasan ben Uziel received the Mesorah from the Nevi'im. The Gemara in Megillah, Daf Gimel, says that Targum Yonasan got all his Targum from Zechariah, Malachi, and Chagai. That's why the Targum Yonasan is so important for us. It's not just any old translation. And the Rambam says, and he translates the pasuk al levavehen yasrun. It's very rare that the Rambam brings a Targum Yonasan in the Mishnah. So that altogether is rare. And a lot of people ask, why does he have to bring that all together? He's explained, that's how Rashi brings, that's how it's brought in the Brisa. Why say anything more than that? What is he adding with this Kibel Yonasan ben Uziel? And I think that what he's adding is not to say that Yonasan ben Uziel learned it also that way, that it shouldn't be done in a sweaty place. No, he's explaining Yonasan ben Uziel tells us which is that place that isn't sweaty. All that we're told is that you are motnehem v'lo yachgeru beyaza. What does that mean? Rashi brings, it means not where you sweat. What does that mean? And Rashi says elbows, not higher than the elbows, not lower than the waist. The Targum Yonasan says over the heart. So what we see from the Targum Yonasan, the Rambam is telling us this is not about the clothes. This is about the person. This is about the right place to wear it. It's about the heart. It's about where it's seen. It's about how you feel and how you look. It's not just defining a place on the body, lower than the elbow and higher than the waist. There's a reason for that. It's much more than that. Let's go further and see. So this ties into our Gemara very nicely, which is the makor, the source of all of this issue. The Gemara says, Yomer Ravashi Omeli Hunu Bar Nosan. Hunu Bar Nosan says to me, says Ravashi, Zimna Chada Avekeim Nekame de Izgadar Malka. Once I was standing in front of Izgadar, who was a king in Babylon. V'hava medali li hemyana v'tetayini ale. And I was wearing a sash, and he adjusted it on me. V'omar li, and he said to me, he kind of groomed me, like you might walk up to somebody and adjust their tie or put their collar right on their back. He came and he adjusted my avnet. And he said to me, Mamlechet Kohanim v'goy kadosh k'tiv b'chu. It says about you Jews that you are a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Kiata kame de Ameimar, when he came to Ameimar said, Omar, they told him the story, Ikayim b'cha v'hayu mlachim umanecha. You're very fortunate because the posuk in Yeshayahu that there will come a time when kings will groom you. That's what happened to you. That's a wonderful thing that happened to you. Let's learn the Rashi on this. Says Rashi, Avneito haya gavoa chagur milamala keneged atzilei yadav v'ivshito lamata. His avnet, his sash, was above his elbows, the place of his elbows, and so he pulled it down a little bit. The king walks up to Hunu Bar Nosan and pulls down his sash a little bit. Why, says Rashi? Kedei lena'oto, to make him look better. So you see that Rashi understands the posuk the same way as Targum Yonason. And so when the Rambam brings the Targum Yonason, he's not coming to disagree with Rashi. He's coming to disagree with the Metzudah, so to say. Don't learn Rashi as being that we're worried about a stain on the big day kahuna. That's not what we're worried about. We're worried about looking good. We're worried about your majestic appearance. You're in a mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. How does a Jew look? Does he look like a shmak or does he look like a prince? The king comes to the Jew and says, you're supposed to look like princes. Why weren't you careful when you put on your sash? Why were you in such a hurry? And that's why the Targum Yonason says, "V'lo yizarzeru al chatzah." Don't be quick to put it on. Don't be in a rush. Put it on correctly. Put it on properly. Dress correctly. It's important. Why is it important? Because you're a mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. He says, "Kedei lena'oto." U'tzuchim atem, Rashi goes on to say, "Tzuchim atem linhog atzmechem betiferet shel kohanim." As a Jew, you have to present yourself with the full glory of a kohen. Dichtiv b'hu lo yachiru b'yaza. So altogether, that's an amazing, or almost shocking piece of Gemara in that sense, that there is an expectation, firstly from the Goyim, and certainly from the Torah itself. Because look what Ameimer says to him, you're fortunate, you've been with the Mekayim, this Posuk, it's amazing that happened. That we're meant to be careful how we present ourselves. It's all very well that we hang out in casual ways, that we take our message of dress from the world around us. We're very worried about chukas hagoy. We won't do anything which is chukas hagoy. What's more chukas hagoy than dressing the way we dress? Is that not chukas hagoy? Where does it come from? And in Eretz Yisrael, it's one of the worst. It's just the way we dress altogether, and it's not only here, it's all over the world. And when frum people, when Jewish people take their dress code from the street, it disgusts a king. Because I expect you to look glorious. I expect you to look amazing. That's what a mamlechet kohanim. How do you present yourself? How do you dress yourself? And we're not talking about whether you wear a white shirt or you wear a blue shirt or you wear a jacket. It's just that you look good. However you dress, that it's appropriate, that you've taken the time to dress correctly, and that you didn't do it bizrizus, as the Targum Yonason says. You didn't just rush and put your clothes on. You gave some thought to how people will perceive you, how people will see you. That's an important thing. The Alt of Slabodka, Rabbi Tzvi Finkel, says in Or HaTzofun that don't minimize the importance of what even a non-Jewish king thinks of us. Now, some people say, it's a goy. Doesn't matter, it's a king, he says, and a king is appointed by Hashem. To be hosted in the White House is an honor, no matter who is the occupant of the White House. It doesn't matter, it's not about the person. It's about the fact that this is a representative of Hashem. Hashem has appointed him to a position of leadership. And if somebody Hashem is appointed honors you, that's a great honor. And so the Ameimer says to Hunu Bar Nosan, this is an amazing thing. At the end of the day, you've been mekayim the posuk, akayim b'cho v'hayu mlachim umanecha. What is this posuk? Just look at this amazing idea. So in Yeshayahu it says, "Vahayu Mלכים אומניך ושרותיהם מניקותייך." Kings will be your omanim. What does that mean? In the time to come, in the time of Mashiach, kings will be your omanim. What does it mean? So we have this word omein many times. We've got it in this week's parasha. We have it again. We have it in Bamidbar, where Moshe says to Hashem, Ki tomare, can I bear this nation that you should say to me, Sa'eu b'cheikecho, carry this nation in your bosom, kashe yisah ha'omein et hayonek, which we literally translate as a nursing mother carries a baby. Is that what you're expecting me to do? Look at Onkelos. Onkelos' translation is totally brilliant. He says, the Amrisli that you said to me, Sovarhi betukvah kamadem sovar turbeyana. Sovar is a very interesting word in Aramaic. It means various things, but two of the things it means, it can mean a teacher from Svara, somebody who explains to you, and Sovar can mean to bear, to carry. And so Onkelos is saying this word, Omein Kashiyisa, Omein Itayonek, is Turbiyana. Turbiyana in Aramaic also has those two meanings. Turbiyana can be a nursing mother, and Turbiyana can be a teacher. So he's using this double word to say this could be either way. And if you look at Targum Yonason, what does he say? Hakamandatan pedagoga limiyanuko. Do you want me to carry this nation like a pedagogue carries a child, like a teacher carries a child? So the Targum Yonason learns this sovroi of Onkelos as specifically talking about an educator. In that case, we can understand this Gemara, we can understand what Ameimer says to Huna bar Noson in a way that I haven't seen anybody explain, but it's so obvious. What's the posuk when he says that you're being became the posuk, והיו מלכים אומניך? What does that mean? There will come a time when kings will be your teachers. Really? Now one understands why Huna bar Noson goes to Ameimer and tells him the story. He's a bit offended. He feels bad. I went to the king and he still adjusted my clothing as if to say I wasn't carefully enough dressed. Says Ameimer, you're right, but you're lucky, you're fortunate that he's teaching you. That's the posuk. You'll be mekayim the posuk of the time of Mashiach, when kings will be your teachers. That's what it means. V'hayu melachim omnaich. That kings will be your teachers. So then we've got to understand, like the Alto Slabotka says, what a compliment it is that the king is mechabed, and he brings this Gemara in the first chelek of Orat Sofun on Daf Reish Tesvav, and with Reish Tesvav he brings this Gemara, and he says, look what an honor it is. What's the honor if the king is teaching me how to dress? Isn't that an embarrassment? Isn't that the opposite of an honor? But if you really understand the word uman, omein, this word that comes up over and over again, and we see the way Onkelos translates it and the way Targum Yonason translates it, it means a nursing mother, somebody who cares enormously about nourishing you. It means a rebbe, a teacher, an educator who cares enormously about nourishing you spiritually and intellectually. It's the same word that's used. So why is it such an honor? Because omein also means a third thing. It also means imun, faith in you. You only educate somebody you have faith in. You don't bother to educate a person you have no faith in. If a king educates you, that's imun. That means he's got faith in you. And here you see the beautiful play in the words of imun, amen, emunah, amana, all the different forms of this word. It's so exquisitely beautiful. And so we understand when Huna bar Noson comes to Ameimer and says, I feel so embarrassed. I walked into the king's palace and he adjusted my sash based on a posuk. I should have been more careful. Ameimer says, but on the other hand, you're living in the time of Mashiach, so to say. You're tasting something of the time to come, that kings will take the trouble to educate you. It's true, you shouldn't need such education, but there's still something important in it. And what's the education we will get from kings in times to come? This is the sad part. We'll be educated by kings on how to dress. Our dress code will have deteriorated to such an extent in the time of Mashiach. This gives me a bit of nechama. When I see how people dress, I think to myself, oh, So it's an opportunity now for the kings to put us right. The kings of fashion, the kings of lands, presidents, prime ministers are going to embarrass us by saying, you're a mamleches kohanim v'goy kodesh. How do you dress? That's for the goyim to dress like that. You should be dressing like us, like kings. You should be presenting yourselves in a proper way. The fact that our dress code is deteriorated to such an extent is an opening for the times of Mashiach, when unfortunately kings will need to teach us how we need to present ourselves, how we need to dress, how the nation that is an Am Kadosh, Mamlechet Kohanim v'Goy Kadosh, how we should present ourselves to the world.